Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere, and even earn money. We like that. All in one place for totally free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your cellular telephone or your computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else, those other places that podcasts are heard.
Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free, zero catch. We've been using it ever since we started How Long Gone. And ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like having the option of turning off the Q&As and the polls on the user dashboard has really helped boost my creativity and take it to another level. I highly recommend giving it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I'm doing well. They're doing a British Vogue photo shoot at the hotel today, so lots of action.
Who's the talent?
Unclear. They did not send me the call sheet. I'm merely overseeing it from my window.
When you say overseeing it, you mean literally you're looking out your window and looking at it?
Yes. I'm not doing anything. I'm not participating in any way. I'm not assisting or detracting.
Okay. Is it at least a female or male talent or unknown?
I don't like to put people in boxes like that, Jason. So let's just say, my preferred pronoun is talent. So I feel like theirs might be as well. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Chris, that was a test, and you passed the first one. This is a cancel quiz episode, and so far you're batting 1,000.
Thank you. And I think it's a cancel pop quiz episode, actually, because I wasn't warned of this beforehand.
Yeah, it is a cancel pop quiz. So far, there was only one question, and you did get it right. But I think the cancel Olympics is a good episode subject matter that we should think about doing in the future.
Yeah, I think that is a great idea, and I wonder who the guest should be for that. It definitely can't just be me and you. We need somebody to take the heat off of us.
I guess Z-Way. It is. It's finally time we have the Z-Man.
I don't think Z-Way would answer our texts, our calls, our emails, or maybe even our smoke signals.
I'd be willing to get destroyed for an hour on her Instagram live just so I can have clean audio of me saying, "Look, Z-Man." And that's it.
Yeah, me too. I think that's probably worth it. Well, Jason, we need to talk about your new career as a Substack publisher.
Okay, please, let's do it. Yeah, you and I ate some food last night, and I brought up after
I didn't eat much food. You guys ate a lot of disgusting food while I sat there and was tired and had a single cigarette on a rooftop.
But I mentioned that I had written a little piece of content about the Travis Scott cheeseburger, and you said, "Oh, it's too late." And then I said, "Oh, damn, maybe it is too late." Got in my head about it. I decided to smash the publish button this morning anyway, though.
And from what I can tell, the responses are quite positive. And I just want to say, as a friend and a writer, I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a fun read and an interesting take. And I have to say, you made a subject that I desperately, desperately want to go away and I'm so tired of interesting again. And that's powerful.
Fuck yeah, baby.
You did it, TJ. And, really, who else matters besides me? You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. That's the audience that truly matters. So,
yeah, I mean,
the question is,
sorry,
Jason.
Go ahead.
The question is, Jason, where is the subby going from here? Or is Jason Stewart, is he shifting into full foodie Substack publishing mode? Are you going to butt heads with former guest Alicia Kennedy?
Luckily, I think her and I are operating in different waves and lanes of the food writing world, where I'm covering, my beat is a little bit
McDonald's
is a little I'm talking more about the specific culinary arts. Maybe a higher thinking. For flavor combinations, textures, mouthfeels, and stuff like that. Whereas she is more so writing about, how men shouldn't get awards for cooking stuff.
I understand. So it's two different takes on the varied food world, which is, all I have to say is that both of you and all the other food subbies that are operating out there, it's taking money out of the mouths of Big Bon App, and that's what really matters. You know what I mean? Because we want to see that fucking, we have to see that fail because it's the injustice to society that Bon App has done is too great for them to survive.
Yeah,
I know you agree with me.
that was
I know
sort
you
of
agree with me.
I wrote that article on mushrooms with the pure 100% intention of dismantling the failing Bon Appetit legacy as well as the failing Gentleman's Quarterly, New York Times. The list goes on. Basically,
you're coming for the neck of any legacy failing publishing.
Yeah,
company.
if you had made money,
it ain't safe.
If you have made money selling the words of people and the photography of people, this is the last day. We are taking it back. It's Subhive only. I have made zero money from this. This was I do not have my payment system set up. I don't know. Your take on the world of digital panhandling has not fallen on deaf ears in Glendale. It feels odd for me to charge somebody money to read that, even though I've had a lot of great feedback so far. And
what did David Chang say to you about it?
That's kind of what this is all. David Chang, if you're ready to have me on your podcast,
David Chang's coming on our podcast.
Chang will never do this podcast, but maybe there's a chance that I'll do his podcast. But that's the reason why I do stuff like this is, you look at somebody like David Chang, who's arguably at the top of the food media world right now. He has tons of restaurants. He's a millionaire. He has TV shows and other shows in development and a lot going on. But his voice and his opinion is not really in line with the current zeitgeist. I say it
ain't resonating with the culture, with the streets.
And also, and him and I just have really opposite taste with food. He likes a lot. Like he was talking about Glendale restaurants on his podcast this week, and he was naming, other than Mini Kebab, he was naming some bizarre stinkers, and he was talking about enjoying the food from King Taco, which is, it's just, it ain't good.
Well,
so I'm saying we're ready to have the crown snatched.
There's room. The food media world in its crumbling state of just failure. Luckily, a giant white phoenix is rising from the ashes, and his name is TJ, and he's coming for your fucking neck all the way from Glendale. This is a global attack.
Yeah, there are only days, if not hours, left where somebody in my position, being a cis white male, could potentially succeed in the world of food media. So I've got to strike while the cast iron is hot.
Damn, don't do that. Well, look, I'm happy to see you out there, and I'm happy to see the flood of positive responses coming in because, like I said to you earlier, if you eat, I eat, and then we collectively eat together, and that's not just a pun for the situation, but it's a real life application. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
All, the tide raises all boats, and we only have two boats, me and you.
The only two boats that matter. Jason, we do have a guest today. I don't know if you're familiar with Nate Freeman's work, but it's a little too highbrow for you, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, I am not familiar with his work. It is too highbrow. The highbrow world of gossip is out of my jurisdiction, and I'm more into pictures and drawings and stuff like that.
I know you're not a big reader, but Nate Freeman has an incredible column on ArtNet called Wet Paint.
Is that artnet.com or is it artnet.net?
It's artnet.com, which is cool. But he's the by title he's the senior art business reporter, but he has this column called Wet Paint that rounds up all the hottest goss in the art world. And even though that's a little over your head, I think you can respect the dedication to rumor mongering, number releasing, shaming, all the stuff that we do honestly on this podcast. It's not dissimilar to what we do on this podcast.
When you say number releasing, are you talking about the releasing of someone's phone number or like their financials, or what do you mean by that?
No, I'm saying like this sold for this much, this sold for that much, this gallerist is hurting. It's digging it much like we do on this show. He likes to dig into some financials, which is more of a part of the art world. It's a known thing to release those. Because you have to. The market has to know. Well,
much like the world of real estate, I think that art and homes, they can also be investments, Chris.
I've heard about that. Unfortunately,
and I only spend chatting with our guest about that to see how art can be an investment.
Well, I buy art for the love of it. I don't buy things for investments. I spend my millions where my heart wants to. You know what I mean? So it's everybody's got a different approach. You know what I'm saying? But
at Uniqlo.
You know how far $1 million would go at Uniqlo, Jason? I mean, think about that. I'm very thrifty. I could give you a new polo shirt every time I see you. All right, well let's give Big Nate Dogg a call and get to the bottom of this little art world thing he talks about so much.
Let us. Okay. Hold, please.
Hold, please.
Big Nate Dogg, what the fuck is up, baby? Let's talk about art.
Let's talk about some motherfucking art.
So, Jason doesn't know anything about art. And so we want a little explainer from a professional in the business. But before we get into that, you're famous, most well known, I'll say, for something called Wet Paint, a column you do for your employer at artnet.com. What is the cadence? How often does the column come out? Forgive me for not knowing.
Well, it's a weekly column, which is a shit ton of work, actually. But, the people want it. They want the tea. They want to know what the fuck's going on in the art world. They want to know what people are eating at Lucien. It's like, I got to give the people what they want.
Well, see, I feel like that's the thing about the beauty of Wet Paint is that it stretches from art to, and it touches kind of everything that matters. And I think that's the power of a weekly dispatch, because it's hard. You're like you said, you're going to crank out a lot of motherfucking words.
Well, other than the restaurant Lucien, what are some other things that matter?
That's a good question. What matters besides Lucien? Well,
Also, that question can be answered by either of you. It's not just for you.
New York is a strange place to be right now, but honestly, it's a blast. And there are people here who are
unless you have
time.
The coronavirus.
You can't contract the novel coronavirus if you're rich, Jason. We all know that. So
that's true.
The art world's not in danger.
NYC is a blast right now.
I think it's great right now, and the column sort of reflects that. Obviously, I get tips from people in LA and Europe and whatnot.
Tell me about hold on. Tell me about the tip getting process. What are we getting? Are we getting DMs? Are we getting these? Are they sent over a secure line, or is this just kind of letting it fly via text?
People should use a secure line. There's some real hot shit that gets sent to me.
Yeah, I assume you have an encrypted number through your Signal account.
I do. No one fucking cares. No one uses it. Yeah. I have Signal. I have this thing called Wire, which is supposedly even more secure than Signal. But people just like...
I can't be bothered. My drug dealer tries to get me to use Signal. I'm just like, bruh, we finna DM.
Yeah, dude. Like, I find that stuff to be overkill, but I'm also not distributing the kind of important information that you're receiving. So walk me through the process of receiving a hot tip. What does that do to your insides? Like, how does it make you feel? And then how do you get more information out of the tip giver, the whistleblower?
It goes straight to the veins, dude. Like, it's the best. Just you see those three little dots. After someone tells you. Like, have you heard about this? Or like, I got a tip for you, and
I'm pretty sure I know who Banksy is, and then you're like, oh
shit, fuck, oh shit, we got him, we got Banksy,
got him.
Yeah, well, put a pin in the Banksy chat because he's the only artist I am aware of, so I will be asking most of my questions about him and who he might be.
I prefer if we just cut the Banksy talk right now, unfortunately, Jason. But if you want, I can indulge you in your one and only artist that you know.
We all know it is the guy from Massive Attack, so I guess the conversation can end here, right?
That's true. The conversation is over.
Right.
I mean, getting a tip, how often are they anonymous versus how often is it somebody in your network of whistleblowers that you keep close to the vest?
I mean, like, I get these sketchy-ass emails all the time from people who are using, like, Proton Mail and shit. I don't know what Proton Mail is. Is that a thing I should know about? Anyway, they always
Proton Mail is it's Signal for email. It's some dork shit.
Yeah. I get a lot of tips on that thing. And then sometimes I think it's like Richard Prince, like, making up, like, pseudonyms. I think he's tipping me a lot.
I feel like that's very possible. I actually think that's a realistic consideration on your part.
Richard, if you're listening, we can see right through your tricks.
I mean, it's very obvious, But I always take the bait, Love the guy.
Well, you have to, but now I guess what I'm asking is, are you doing a lot of teasing out, or are people coming to the table ready to let it spray?
It depends, Like sometimes it's the first martini at Lucian when they spill their guts, and sometimes it's the third martini. It depends on the person.
Is artnet.com footing the bill for these martinis? That's the real question.
They are. They're very generous about reimbursing me when it's a legit business expense. I don't just do it willy nilly, but if there's a scoop that comes from the fucking martinis at Lucian, they pay for the fucking martinis at Lucian.
I like that. I like an employer that knows where to spend their money. And can you tell me how artnet.com is still in business?
That's a great question.
Times are fucking hard. I'm serious. It's like I know it's the paper of record, but it's still hard.
I mean, the easy answer is I have no clue. Like, there's business people who are somehow selling like convincing Cartier and shit to like buy ads, and they're heroes because I have no idea how they do it.
They have a great sales team.
A classic model. We love sales guys at this podcast.
We love sales. We love sales guys.
And it could be also from a generous contribution from the Carnegie Foundation as well.
Yeah,
I've read that they support the arts.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair that if I'm nice to some like large organization in my column, it probably means they're paying ArtNet a lot of money.
Yeah, that's
say no more.
Yeah, we understand that here. That's why we only shout out big corps on this podcast. Thank you, Amazon.
Thank you, Tesla.
Thank you, Tesla.
Thank you,
Amazon
Sakara Life.
Thank you, News Corp. I want to shout out News Corp.
Thank you for the generous support, News Corp.
The News Corp has been killing it lately.
Jason, Jason's a former, or he's a recovering DJ. And I am just recovering, and both of us have spent many dark nights in Miami for the Art Basel Fair.
Oh God!
I know.
Have you heard of this thing? Have you heard of this thing, Nate?
I feel like you've heard of it.
I mean, it seems like a dream at this point. The 10 years or so that have gone, all of them, a big dream. But yes, I unfortunately am aware.
I was reading on artnet.com that it's canceled this year, and
it's done.
How does that make?
Yeah, so when I first read on like mixmag.net that EDC was going to be canceled this year, I assumed that was akin to the way you were feeling once you had to write that Art Basel was going to be canceled this year.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, me and Cat Marnell are still going anyway, so
I like that.
Difference. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I think.
Are you really?
Yeah. Cat and I are going, and we're going to do our own Basel. Everyone's invited.
Cool. This is cool.
Okay, we need to talk offline because I went last year. Truly awful. I mean, I've been a bunch of times, but like this most recent year was like I really was like I'm never going to go again. It's absolutely fucking washed.
Well,
what was the worst thing you went to in Miami last year? I've been to some really shitty things.
I mean, every party that promised to be a cool party was none of that. The only good place I went to was Joe's Stone Crab.
I do love Joe's Stone Crab.
Yeah, you can't not go to Joe's when you're in town. But just like hanging out at Soho House and having a bev, on the beach, that's great. That's wonderful. But then once the parties kick in at night in the tents and stuff like that, it's just the worst of the worst Miami club trash, and nothing artistic is happening whatsoever.
I did go to a party at the pant-splitting king Lenny Kravitz's house, which is pretty rad.
Let's go. Lenny, let it all hang
Damn,
out.
our Basels are hitting differently, King.
Yeah, my man Wesley Pence was on the ones and twos.
Big friend of this podcast.
I mean, he's a friend to all, you know.
He really is. He gives back, and he gives, and he gives, and he gives.
Okay.
I caught the digits, and I was telling Dip what art to buy. I swear to God.
You were doing free art advisement for Riplo.
Oh, it was incredibly free.
How on a scale of 1 to 10, how high on cocaine were you when this conversation was happening?
I think about a 6.
All right.
Okay, all right. That's not that.
Look, no judgment, no shade, but
Yeah.
giving art advice to somebody in Miami, it would be strange if cocaine was not involved. You know?
Yeah.
Now? I know this was last year, but were any of your predictions true? Did any of these artists' markets explode after you recommended them to DJ Diplo?
You know what? I was fucking right on every count. I told him to buy Amawako Boafo. That guy exploded like 2 months later.
Okay.
I was right. Diplo was wrong. It's just,
wow.
You told him to cop the banana. Ended up being a pretty good investment.
The banana was sold out. You know, they sold those. You know,
I mean, what do you think about the banana? I think it's pretty cool and funny.
I mean, like, I got an email about it, like, from Perotan, the gallery, like a week or two before, and I saw it, and I was like, it's a pretty good Catalan. You know, it's pretty good. It's okay. I thought it was, like, you know, mediocre to good. He's a good artist, so, like, you know, this is one of his pretty good works. Like, I got the joke. But, like, everyone else thought it was the most outrageous thing ever, and so I guess I missed the whole phenomenon. I think it's okay. It's fine.
There's a lot of idiots out there in the world, my friend.
That's true.
Yeah, some people just aren't down to clown. This is an exact case of that. Well, now the
you know who is Banksy? Go ahead, Chris.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Banksy.
So if you're not able to, I mean, I know you and Kat are going to Miami for your own Basil, but you know, if the fares are now, were you going to Switzerland and London, and were you hitting the circuit?
I was on the circuit every single major fair for years. It was like, you know, nonstop. There were months when I would go back and forth to Europe 3-4 times in a month.
Damn, this lifestyle is sounding sexy as hell, bro. So you're going from doing coke with Diplo in Miami to fucking Switzerland to London. Where else are we talking about? Are you going to Australia? Are you going to Asia?
I mean, I went to Shanghai last November, and I spent more time traveling than I did in Shanghai. Oh, I was there for a night.
So
I'm not.
So when you're on the ground, you're having to work on other stories. This is, I think, a pre-wet paint world. So you're working on. So you're covering the business of art, the numbers, the ins and outs, the movers and shakers, the head honchos.
Yeah, like, you know, it's a real hothouse situation in there. You know, you're in, you know, the Grand Hotel Trois Rats, you know, and everyone around you is a billionaire, and you know, you're just writing about these. Yeah, you're writing about these billionaires traveling around the world just to buy, you know, crazy ass paintings. It's fascinating.
Are any of these guys cool to you, or do they think of you as the enemy?
I mean, cool is an interesting way to put it. Like, do I think Stevie Cohen is cool?
I mean, I don't mean cool like I want to hang with him. I mean cool like he's down to talk if you need to talk. If you need a quote, who's giving you the quotes?
I mean, like, you know, I can hang to a certain extent. So it's like, you know, I'm there chilling, whatever. They know I'm a reporter. They say off the record, whatever. If they need to use me for some reason to, like, you know, plan a story, they can do that. But generally, they're cool as long as I don't, like, break the trust circle, you know?
Sure. I'm sure you've seen some wild behavior, though, have you not?
Yeah, I have, actually. You know, I mean, you ever see Leo DiCaprio fucking sucking down an e-cig on a balcony in Switzerland? It's crazy.
That sounds like a fucking piece of art right there.
That's billionaire bad boy behavior.
That's a motherfucker blue chip. That's a motherfucking blue chip painting right there.
Dude loves art dealers, man. He hangs out with the nomads like just nonstop. The dude.
Why do you think? Do you think it's just because they're rich and they are on the same travel agenda as he is, or do you think it's deeper than that? Is he a true art lover?
He does really like art. He actually always has, I believe, and you know, when he's at the fair, he's checking out the shit. He's there getting his face up in the Avery Singers. Like
He's copping. He's copping. He's copping
Oh, yeah.
pieces.
He's copping. Like it's he has this hotshot art advisor, and it's a big deal to be in the DiCaprio collection. People love that shit.
Now, what is the plan? What is the how do I say this? Who's the celebrity with the best art collection? In your knowledge, which celebrity has the best art?
Damn. Let's see. Right now, it would have been Diplo if he listened to me. But, that's kind of hard to say. Like people like
keep this private. You can give an educated guess.
I mean, like someone like Johnny Depp, like had an incredible collection, but he started to sell off his Basquiat's and stuff. For some reason, like Eric Clapton has an incredible art collection, which is mind blowing to me because he's the lamest dude ever.
Hey, don't come for Clapton like that on this fucking podcast.
There are many more lame people who are more lame than the Clap man.
What is your problem with Clapton?
Well, I mean, the dude's got a history of saying some pretty questionable things about
that's true.
Other races.
That is true, but so do a bunch of like Saudi princes who are also great art collectors.
Right, that's a good point.
I actually didn't know that about Eric Clapton. I thought he was just a guitar god who dressed cool.
He's done some bad stuff.
He said some bad stuff, and like the song about his kid, it's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like that.
Is he your Chris Brown?
Wow. Is he my Chris Brown? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I think that's accurate. I've been trying to figure out who my Chris Brown is for a long time.
I'm sure that keeps you up at night, but I didn't know.
You're welcome.
Well, you brought up Basquiat. Let's get into it. Why is his legacy being absolutely tarnished? Is this company who's licensing his stuff that money hungry, or are they just dumb? What is your take on that?
They're very, very money hungry. They spring for any opportunity to license. Who
is controlling the Basquiat Foundation?
It's the family, but the family is like huge. Like he's got a ton of. It's like his parents, his siblings, like cousins. Like they have this they have a pipeline of selling work through the Phillips auction house, and they just give Phillips like a ton of work every year. And then so
they got everything. But they got all of the actual paintings when he died. Like they own all of those paintings now. Yeah. They're flipping them through Phillips, as well as selling off the images for boxer shorts and male masturbation devices.
Yeah, everything. I mean, it's going to be a fucking they'll follow up Travis Scott with Basquiat burgers at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Which that sounds kind of dope. I eat a Basquiat burger.
Is it affecting his market, or is it helping it? Is it affecting it negatively, or is it actually helping it because it's such an awareness thing for rich people who might not know?
I think it might be helping it in the end because it's like just further cementing him as like this iconic, globally known artist. Like, I think that there are people, collectors in Asia that will increasingly pay, over $100 million for a Basquiat, and that part of that is because of his like global, like,
No, I mean it's
over
insane.
$100 million.
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
Jason, get your little money up.
If you ask me, a Basquiat painting as well as my stable of thoughts belong to the streets.
Right.
I agree. I mean, but now, is it considered like if you came to my house and had a Basquiat, you'd be like, this guy's corny, right? Or am I wrong?
Definitely.
I mean, it depends on what Basquiat it is. Like, if it's like some just like garbage, like, work on paper that he made, like, high off his ass that is like obviously kind of mediocre, I'd be like, that's like lame because you probably paid a fuckload for it. But, like Ken Griffin, this billionaire banker dude, just bought a giant painting for $100 million that's like a masterpiece. And he gave it to the MCA Chicago, the MCA Chicago. And like that's pretty rad, if you just like go big on like a masterpiece, it's really cool. But yeah, there are all these corny dudes who like have some like lame drawings. Like I was in this apartment in Soho a few weeks back, some just like afters thing, and this.
I was about to say, what were you guys doing there?
Super spreader, baby, super spreader.
No, well, okay, so technically everyone was on the roof, and it was like vaguely safe. I went down to take a piss into this kid's apartment, and I was like, I saw these Basquiat drawings, and I was like, these
Wait,
are.
hold on, Nate. Were the Basquiat drawings in the bathroom? Because that's a flex.
No, they were in the bathroom. I was peeking around a little bit.
Right. Okay.
No,
okay.
and like I didn't know who this kid was. Like I came there with some friends. I was obviously at Lucien before. We just ended up there, and I was like, this is corny. Like this is not a good look. These are obviously Basquiat's, but they're really not great. This dude is really fucking wealthy. Obviously, this is lame.
Damn, you're making me miss New York City awful art parties a lot right now.
Dude, I am loving the awful art parties. Dude,
no better city for awful art parties than New York.
Are you out every night turning the fuck up?
It is most nights. I sometimes I'll just have like a quiet dinner or something and just stay in. But like last night I was at Lucien. Yo, you know who was at Lucien last night? The fucking Scientologist king himself, Beck.
Ooh.
Beck was hanging out. Beck came back to the spot afterward.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Beck, a legend and king, and I think we've all cried to the what's the album? Why can't I think of the name of the album?
Sea Change, bitch.
Sea Change, classic album.
But also Beck nowadaday be looking like Ellen. Am I right or am I right?
Beck do look like canceled Ellen, but I believe that Beck is actually. I think Beck actually has distanced himself somewhat from the church. I think it's like, oh, my family's into that, and doesn't claim the set anymore like he used to, is what I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. But you can't, can you ever really escape the vow of Scientology?
Jason's got a lot of friends in the Scientology world from his time in nightlife in LA.
Yeah, I've been recruited. Sure. I'd be lying if I said that it didn't help my career.
That explains a lot about your career then. But
I wish my career was run by the Church of Scientology.
I would give it all up. Dope. I mean, if I can't, number one for me, I would rather be a Jew. Jew's number one if I'm going to convert.
Sure. Jew's number one, but
Scientology a close second.
Close second. Yeah.
In terms of religions.
Yeah, just nipping on the heels of things I would do to make more money in life, like to be more connected.
Right.
Got it.
It sounds like I could just go eat dinner with you at Lucien every night and I would be more connected, but I'm willing to sacrifice my entire life to a religion that I don't believe in.
What's an example of a hero meal at Lucien? If I were to go there and I really want to have a tour of Italy, what is the order there?
It's not about the food, Jason, but go ahead.
It's not about the food. I think,
I know, but still.
The ideal meal was like 3 martinis.
Yep.
20 cigarettes, and then like a smattering of food.
Gin martini or vodka martini?
Gin, of course.
Obviously. Okay.
I think, what I think we should do? I think we should plan a How Long Gone live at Lucien. I think that's an idea. And we have a rotating cast. I'll get press maven Caitlin Phillips to set up a rotating cast of characters to join us at our table, Jason, when we hold court in the back and just have quick chats.
Right. I think in the meantime, we can get a green screen and we can just do it in my garage and just kind of have a Lucien booth that I buy off of eBay.
I think it's going to be hard to recreate the energy, you know what I mean, with no bathroom to go to, but I understand. I like where your head's at, and in our COVID times, it might be all we can do.
Chris, I can get the Coke.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I didn't know if you were still connected like that, Jason.
What's the music situation over there at Lucy?
Honestly, I don't think there is any music right now.
No music.
Usually, it's like whatever's playing on like Zach's iPod.
Thanks, Trump. Okay.
Where do you, Nate? What neighborhood do you live in?
Gonna blast some Salem.
God, I love that fucking Salem shit. I live in Dime Square, baby. Square all day, every day.
So you live in Dime Square, and you're really in the heat of it now. And I'm, I got to be honest with you. I've been in LA for months, and I feel like I'm losing my edge. I'm missing New York a little bit. I mean, the energy seems palpable. Is it? Am I wrong? Am I wrong to say that?
It is palpable. I mean, you just mentioned Caitlin. Caitlin was in your neck of the woods.
I saw her. Ago. Yes, we had a business meeting. We had a regular hang. I mean, it was great to see her. She was preaching that, but I need to confirm my stories with multiple sources. You know what I'm saying? So
I am backing up Caitlin. New York is the best it's ever been right now. All the losers left. the people who
Don't
fucking
come
walk.
at me on my own fucking podcast, bro.
No, Chris, we love you. We miss you. But
How long have you lived in New York?
I've been here 10 years.
Where are you from originally? DC area?
Yep, from DC.
Very cool.
What is your
Bethesda.
relationship with
Shout
Sweet
out Bethesda. To Sweet Green?
Yeah.
I remember the first time my mom took me to Sweet Green on Old Georgetown Road.
For reals?
Yeah, it was like one of the first ones.
Okay, yeah.
And my mom was like, "This thing is new. Everyone's talking about it. We got to go to Sweet Green."
Mm-hmm.
And this was like 20 years ago or something.
Salad days.
I don't know.
It's cool that your mom. It's cool that your mom is a food influencer. What I mean, is she a healthy lady? Is she into fitness?
She's a day one. Like she was in the fucking Sweet Green.
She's a day one lettuce muncher.
She's just on that tip.
Right.
So when you first got to New York, we were probably, where were you partying? Were you at Lit Lounge? Were you at Max Fish? Were you at Jane? Were you at the Beatrice Inn?
Were you a Marquee rat? Were you a One Oak slut?
Damn.
What's going on?
I mean, yeah, Lit Lounge all the time, especially when I was here for a summer.
Yeah.
Back when Joe Coscarelli was living above Lit Lounge. Shout out Joe Coscarelli.
A famous, one of the more famous listeners of this podcast. I mean, we all recognize this. We all recognize his face from his famous New York Times series. You know what I mean? Where he forces himself on camera over and over and over to try to eclipse the celebrities that are joining him as guests. So you were partying at Lit Lounge. Were you smoking cigarettes inside?
I was smoking a lot of cigarettes inside.
Hell yeah!
And especially in that weird basement place where the Hold Steady was always hanging out.
Yes,
that was
smelled very weird down there.
Yeah, I actually have the smell in my brain right now when you said that. It's kind of like a Proustian, Madeline thing for me.
I'm glad we can bring you back and situate you in a time that was loose and fun. So obviously we can talk about the glory days of New York nightlife for hours, but you're saying that has it possibly returned to form, but now it's just on the streets of the East Village and the streets of Soho?
Well, I mean, maybe I was exaggerating when I said it's the greatest of all time or whatever, but it's really
all things considered, it's going pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. And more than ever, because everyone's forced out in the streets, you constantly run into people. If you're just walking around, I get fucking packed by people across the street all the time. I just it's just people are just running into each other all the time just because you're always outside. And that dynamic is kind of really invigorating. It's just that has never really happened before because everyone's fucking inside, So that's totally different.
Can you confirm that you can see people doing heroin on the street like the early 2000s?
Yes, confirmed. There's also, I think, Chris, you noticed this. There's a trend of people just openly doing cocaine, on the subway, apparently.
That is very fucking cool.
Yeah. I personally haven't seen that, but apparently it's the thing now.
Honestly, that's the coolest thing I've heard about New York. It's maybe ever.
It's the only way I'll take the fucking subway, if you ask me.
Yeah, can you imagine foregoing the idling Escalade to just hop on the train and do a couple bumps before you hit the rave in Bushwick? That is insane. That is insane. That's very cool, though. I did not know that. So you sound like you're having the time of your fucking life. You're really selling it.
I know. I mean, I also have to work sometimes, but it's really fun. It's great.
Well, where did you work before artnet.com?
I was at Artsy and Art News. They all have the same name.
Damn, that's actually crazy. They really do. Did you grow up? Did you want to be an artist yourself, or did you just want to cover the ground?
No, I mean, I never wanted to be an artist, but I was always going to museums and
Are your parents? Do your parents work in the arts?
No, my dad's a lawyer. My mom's a doctor.
Okay.
And no, but I was always writing for the fucking high school newspaper, college newspaper, and when I got to New York, I was just sort of actually covering some nightlife stuff at the Observer, and that kind of just morphed into writing about the art world and then the art market. It's just kind of what I gravitated toward. It's it's a fun thing to write about. It's a fun world,
I get it. I feel like I gravitate to music maybe in the same way that you do. I can't do it, but I love the personality. Fashion's the same thing. I love the personalities that are involved. I mean, I think
absolutely.
But how often are you? I feel like most of your stuff, is with it's obviously on the business side, whatever that may mean. But so does that mean you're rarely interviewing or really sitting down with artists? You're mostly talking about the deals and the ins and outs and the auctions, or is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both because even if it is like the business side, artists are constantly involved. They're not necessarily at an auction per se, but if they have a solo booth at an art fair, they'll be there, hanging out. Like, same thing with the gallery. It's like, they're part of the whole ecosystem. And, they like the market interests them in the same way that it interests like, anyone else in the art world. So like, they read my stuff. Like I'm constantly like running into artists and meeting artists like through, dealers, advisors, whatever. So almost, every night there's like someone just in the mix hanging out.
I read a book this year about the art market that was very enlightening to me and kind of explained the process to me. And I think a lot of people don't understand that the market is kind of manipulated in a very serious way by gallerists and dealers alike, and maybe even the artists themselves if they're savvy. So could you maybe explain to our listeners what that would look like? If Jason is an artist and his career is starting to pop, and then I, Chris, am his dealer, what am I going to do to increase his prices?
Chris, are you saying that there's a chance that there could be some art dealers with dubious intentions afoot?
There could be some dealers with dubious intentions afoot.
Yeah. I mean, the dubious intentions is they're trying to get fucking rich. I mean,
which we support on this podcast. We love getting rich, so that's not negative. But I just think that I just think I knew about that to some extent, but then when it was explained to me, I was like, oh, this is actually like, I think it's very fun to read about. It's like a game in the way that I'm sure you are attracted to it in that way too. It's like that's why it's fun to write about.
Totally. And like, I mean, it is manipulated just because like, it's impossible just to take one like young new artist and be like objectively, this is the greatest new artist. Yeah. It's worth like hundreds of thousands. You can't just say that right off the bat because it's subjective. So what you do is you build a market through connections, through associations. You start to get them into really, well-liked and well-known collections that are known for their star-making abilities. You get them in the hands of dealers that.
So let's explain that for a second. So there are certain people that if they buy your art, then you are part of an inner circle that means you're up next, basically.
Totally. Yeah.
If this collector identifies you early, then that's a stamp of approval, and then others will follow suit.
Absolutely. Like Don and Mira Rubel, like they have this museum in Miami.
Yes, I've been there. It's great.
It's fantastic. And, in addition to being just some of the best collectors of the last 40 years, they also have this residency program that it has an amazing track record for sort of grooming, like stars to be. And, they like make a deal with these artists that the work that they make in that residency, they own. So like,
that's the trade. You get to live in the lap of luxury and create. And then when you leave, they're keeping all of your bounty.
Yep, exactly. But like that just signals that, the Rebels like this work enough to, buy it, and bring it into their collection. Like this could be big, and then that's when you have, dealers with certain reputations, like getting involved and pushing it to other, big name collections. And then all of a sudden, someone who bought early and got lucky puts it at auction. And if it goes for a big number, then it's like, this person's now a market star.
Because the auction, the numbers are public. So does that kind of dictate that dictates the price more than like a private sale or a gallery sale? Correct.
It dictates the public's like knowledge of what the prices are. More than anything, because it doesn't really impact the primary market prices, just because like those are always going to be set totally lower by their main dealers in order to keep demand high. But it does it influences like what the public or the art interested public thinks of that artist. If that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I'm getting my checkbook out. You know what I mean? That's all I have to say. But I think that the so stars are created, and then the gallery association I think is something that people are more familiar with, right? So if your name is attached to this and that, and that's going to be better for you. how much, in the music world, obviously social media and all the shit's so important now.
Mhm.
In the art world, is it still full gatekeeper gallery stuff, or do you need to be popping on the web?
It's increasingly a mix of both, I guess. I'd say it's harder for artists to break through solely on social media.
Totally.
But like, there's a reason why artists like. I mean, obviously Murakami is like legit a great artist, but like it helps.
Hey, calm down there, bud. Okay,
I think he's good. He's good, but like it doesn't hurt that he's got like millions and millions of Instagram followers.
Yeah.
That's why like when Gagosian does a Murakami show, it's not just like an art exhibition; it's like a cultural phenomenon thing.
Yes.
So
it puts you in a different stratosphere, but it doesn't.
Yeah, totally.
You don't need it to be successful.
No, you don't need it to be successful because to be successful, it's like I said, it's a sort of market grooming for an artist, and it doesn't necessarily need to pop off on the grams. But
I think that's one of the very few art forms left that you don't have to be popping on the gram. That's why I bring this up.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that it's like, if you're an actor, an actress, a musician, you that's like necessary. That's almost like an understood, like that's part of your job. You know what I mean? So I think that being able to go and make work and do your thing and sell it is pretty freeing in some ways. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's a there's not many people break out. There's not so many success stories, but it is a nice path if you can carve it.
Chris, does that sound like a life path that you would want to take personally?
Well, no, I have absolutely no skills, so that would probably not work for me. But I think
I'm not saying could you do it. I'm saying in a dream world, does that sound nice to you?
I could see myself living a Schnabel like existence. You know
Chris,
what I mean?
You're just chilling at the Chupi.
Exactly.
You know Schnabel's house, the Palazzo Chupi.
Yes, I know it well. It's beautiful. I'm more into the Montauk property, so I can work on my large scale paintings. You know what I mean? I need I need space for myself, my assistants, my chef, my trainer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I think that's more a little my speed. My speed.
Your 13 children.
Exactly. Depending on the time of year, I think it would make a difference.
Is Jim Carrey getting any better at art, or is he still pretty bad?
He's still pretty bad.
He's still pretty bad. Do you feel like I feel like one day he's gonna kind of like come out and like how George W. did and be like, damn, actually Carey stuck with it and he's kind of killing it now. I'd like to see that one day.
Yeah, me too. I hope that he can get to that W level.
So what's the value? What are W's going for right now? 100K?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't think he's actually selling them, but if he were, I think that they would be in the 100K level. Like
I would be willing to pay $100,000 for a George W. Bush painting of Jeffrey Epstein. That is what that is. I just want to put that out.
Actually, didn't Epstein have a curious little collection?
Yeah, he did, but it was mostly like
where did you first meet him?
Yeah.
Which house? So did you go to the island or the house uptown to see the collection?
Chris, come on.
I mean, I didn't know him that well. My good friend Glenn, introduced me to him once, but
Okay.
That's good.
He was an acquaintance, really.
Well, I actually, I did. I was lucky enough to meet former President Bill Clinton at ABCV, and Jason got a picture of us together. And we released that picture on Jason's Instagram the same day that the Epstein thing was going down. So I do
the day that he appeared on the flight log. The flight log was released into the public.
Yeah. So some people think this podcast, actually, How Long Gone, has some Epstein connections, but I want to clear that up. I only am friends with presidents. That is what this is. It stops with Bill. We talked about climate change and stuff. It wasn't about it wasn't personal.
Yeah, the only trafficking Chris does is on the 405.
Exactly, Jason. Thank you. Yeah,
that's a freeway here in California. If you didn't know, sorry about that.
I've been on the 405. I'm actually wearing my Beverly Hills Hotel and Bungalow's seersucker hat while talking to you.
That's actually that's really nice. Seersucker is a nice touch. As a Southern gentleman, I really appreciate that.
I thought you would, Chris. But
let's talk about the LA art scene, because people are making some racket. There's this little guy named Sterling Ruby out here.
yeah.
He's got a big compound. There's some galleries. There's some people. But what is it really going to happen out here? Is Ed Ruscha, was he right? You know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, the last 2 years, since like Freeze opened the fair there, LA I think is exponentially just like become one like one of the world's global leading art cities. Like it's amazing, and it had a lot to do with Freeze coming, and then a bunch of other galleries sort of popping up, and then the galleries that were already there getting even more stature. But it's a fun city to be in to look at art. There's incredible museums. Just so many great galleries. So I think it could happen. I love the art scene in LA right now.
Do you feel like LA has a better graph game than New York right now, or is that still kind of up in the air?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think I'd give that to LA.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't smoke that much weed.
Well, I went to a couple of years ago. I went to Houston to shoot something, and was really impressed with all the art there. And Dallas Fort Worth as well. Are there any underappreciated art cities that our listeners need to know about, where they can go see some great stuff, but maybe it's a little cheaper, it's a little off?
Chris,
off the map?
there's another place over there called Marfa, and they have a nice little art scene as well.
Yeah,
I've been there before. There's a guy that makes like concrete boxes. I've been there before. It's pretty cool.
You'd like
it?
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I would like it. I'm a real minimal guy,
Yeah, I mean Dallas, like you said, is actually that's one of those cities that like is kind of under the radar, super rad art city. Like there's a ton of like tiny little like really awesome galleries, and like Dallas Contemporary and the DMA are both really awesome. The National Sculpture Center is awesome. Shout out Bethesda, Maryland, my hometown, which is the home of Glenstone, the dopest museum in the country.
Tell us a little bit about Bethesda.
Glenstone.
Glenstone.
That sounds like a medium to high end. Sounds like a medium to high end new home development in Orange County is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it does.
But what do they have there, bro? Tell us all about it. So
it's this guy Mitch Rails. Shout out Mitch Rails. Went to Walt Whitman High School. My high school. Shout out Walt Whitman. So he married his art advisor, like 2 decades ago, and then started building this unbelievable collection.
First of all, Nate, think about this. Could be good for you. You know what I mean? You could marry a rich woman as her art advisor, and then you dictate the collection and turn it into a museum.
Damn,
really makes you think.
It's not a bad call.
No, anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
No, and so they bought this enormous property just like half an hour from DC, but it's in the woods. It's just like completely isolated. And they got this ginormous Jeff Koons like flower sculpture, a split rocker sculpture that's so awesome. Got a bunch of Richard Serra that's really incredible. Michael Heiser sculpture, and then in the collection there's Basquiat's and Bryce Martin and David Hammonds.
We are Martin Hive on this podcast. So that's
word?
Yeah, we're Martin Hive.
Bryce and has been living like the greatest quarantine life.
I've heard that. Are you covering this? Is this a beat you're on, or is this?
I'm covering it embarrassingly closely. Like, he just goes between Tivoli and Hydra and like the East Village, just like making incredible fucking work. The dude is just a legend.
He's thriving.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
What guy named Bryce isn't though?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
So we need to all converge on Bethesda, Maryland.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really, really dope town with Glenstone, which is rad.
I've been to the museum in Bentonville, Arkansas, where the Walmart family lives. Yes, Crystal Bridges was very impressive.
You know what? I actually have never been to Crystal Bridges, but I hear Bentonville is a really wild town. Like,
I had a whole thing with the brothers, the Walmart heirs, where we were friends, and they invited me there. And for something they do every like a big event they have in Bentonville. So
Whoa.
we stayed at the 21C Museum Hotel.
Love
Chris,
21C.
who got sacrificed at that?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
at that
This
meeting?
sounds
I don't
like
talk. I'm not going to talk about what happened there. That's between me and God. But
right.
but it was
I didn't know this
honestly,
was that you were Skull and Bones Hive, but interesting. We got to save that for another pod.
People think I'm just like a dumb redneck from Georgia who stumbled his way into the New York media elite. But this has been a path that was chosen for me by people
Clearly.
bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
Was it an animal sacrifice? Like
No,
large
human.
Animal?
No, human. Of
many
course.
Small animals.
No, human. Animals.
Oh, okay,
I'm a PETA member. We let animals live. People don't care. It's fine. People, I'm not concerned with.
Of course not.
But yeah, Crystal Bridges was interesting, and I think that those kind of cities, I think that is like Houston blew me away. Like I was so impressed with everything, public and private, and even some of the they had Philip Johnson build it. It was just
the Demonale is unbelievable. Like
it was very cool. The whole thing was very cool. The Twombly thing was very cool. But so while we have you, a professional, I would love to know let's get into overrated artists. You know what I mean? Like who's really getting a little too much shine when they don't deserve it.
Overrated. Okay, love this. I mean,
and choose some people that our listeners may be familiar with. Not too obscure of a name.
I mean, overrated. Damien Hirst, way overrated. Guy
Great.
is lost.
Anyone who's collaborated with Supreme, would you say, is overrated?
Yeah.
No.
Except for Dan Golden, I can't think of one.
Right. I mean, like, Jenny Holzer's like just evisceration of Supreme just always remains like a highlight for.
That's true.
For
what a
any artist
star.
statement.
What a star.
So incredible. No, I mean, I think they've collaborated with like Christopher Wool and shit. And he's
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they support some cool younger artists, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason. I'm sure you know all about it. So Damien Hirst, he's toast.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't really care, like anymore. Like he had his moment. It's fine.
But is he still selling like crazy?
Yeah, I mean, like nuts. Like I'm not a fan of Cause.
Wow. You know what? Welcome to hey, King. We were meant to be, bro. Because if you got a Cause doll in your house, I ain't fucking. You know what I'm saying? Hey.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Chris is zipping up his 7 jeans if he sees one squeaky little Cause in the foyer.
These paper denim cloths are not coming off tonight, fellas.
He says, not tonight.
Hide the Cause under the bed when I'm coming over.
But baby, it's an investment in both of our futures. I've tried that one.
His market is absolutely insane still.
Totally.
Correct?
Absolutely insane. Like I think that people like have to have been lobotomized to pay that much for a fucking Cause. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, I mean, is it
the marketing machine at work?
I mean, clearly there's something at work, because you have these like sort of shadowy billionaire corporations in China just like buying these things for $5-10 million. It's nuts.
These are paintings or sculptures or toys?
I mean, arguably they're all toys.
Yeah, every Cause is every one of those words you just said, Chris.
Damn, I thought you guys were using cool graffiti artist slang.
I like art that you can play with as a toy. It's like interactive. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of cool.
That's true. But
what is your take on the since you're just I respect your opinion. What is your take on the McDonald's Travis Scott collaboration? Is that art? Or is it merely commerce, Nate?
Well, it's certainly commerce. Is it art? Kind of. I don't know. Like it's got legs, I mean, I find myself caring about it when I don't care about it, but I care about it.
We talked about that, and Jason launched his Substack today with a deep dive on the McDonald's collaboration with Travis Scott from more of a food angle. And I told him it really brought me back into it. Like I stopped caring, and then he found a new way to hook me in, which I think is both the power of Jason Stewart and the power of fucking Cactus Jack.
I roped you in rodeo style.
Exactly, bitch. Yeehaw.
I think that maybe it is art in a way because the order itself is just the same thing, right? It's just a quarter pounder with cheese, and right. What makes it?
They also add they add bacon to it and extra cheese, I think.
Right, but that's basically just like a normal order, right?
Yes,
there's nothing.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's basically just like a cause, except like instead of it blue, I made it light blue.
Right. Yeah. Like it's like a Duchampian thing, really, because they're selling something that.
This is good. That's fire. It's a Duchampian. Yes, go
it
on.
is because it's just like a normal object that they're presenting as, oh, this is a Travis Scott thing now, and that's what's selling. Like there's nothing. They're not. The product itself is the same.
Absolutely.
But I think that's kind of like art.
And we've been falling for that for centuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's not even new. Yeah, but it's art. Yeah. Okay. That's the verdict. It's art.
So confirmed. It is art.
It is art. Yeah. Congrats, Travis. You did it.
And it tastes bad.
I love that.
Oh, does it, Jason? I need to read your Substack.
Give it a read. Let me know your thoughts. But yeah, it may taste as good as the food from famed Lucien.
Mm-hmm. It might. I'm kind of more interested in the spicy nuggets.
I've heard that the spicy nuggets are actually pretty good.
Yeah, like
I'm not a big nugget man myself.
Really? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no McDonald's in Dime Square yet. I don't know when that's coming.
Yeah, what's going on in Dime Square? Have there been any closures or anything, or is obviously
any road closures going on?
Is Servos still open?
Chinese,
you know what?
done.
Mission Chinese. Let me just go on the record. Mission Chinese is bad.
Ooh.
Mission Chinese was bad, Chris.
Mission Chinese is bad, and honestly, he's kind of annoying. I got to be honest.
What do you find annoying about Chef Danny Boyen?
Well, I hate how his style of dressing really bothered me to the point where I think it made the food taste different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some bad dressing will ruin.
But I will say,
meal.
Danny Bowen though, very good at Soul Cycle. I used to see him all the time, and that motherfucker really got it in, and that is enough for me to like him as a person.
Is he a fellow recovering drug addict?
I think I don't know. I think he parties.
I think he might be sober as a gopher, and because
I think he's sober.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Anyone who's really good at Soul Cycle is usually a sober person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. I mean, I unfortunately I do have incredible rhythm, and I can tap it back very well.
Right.
That's Soul Cycle. That's Soul Cycle terminology, guys.
You can tap it back. What does that mean, Chris?
It means when you move your ass towards the seat and tap it while flexing your core on the beat of the song.
Okay. This is like a pussy popping type of scenario.
It's similar. It's similar to a pussy pop, only with the rear.
Oh, it's a boosty pop, is what you're saying.
It's a boosty pop, but you have to keep the core engaged. Is the real key to that move. Your shoulders are relaxed, your hands are relaxed, your core is rock hard, and your ass is flexed. Your glutes are flexed and engaged. Tap the seat right back on rhythm. Sometimes you do a push up when you get to the front after in a sequence, but it just depends.
Can you hear in his voice how bad Chris misses Soul Cycle?
I mean, that was one of the most beautiful things I've heard in months.
Thank you.
Like the evocation, the rhythm of you describing.
A love letter to Soul Cycle.
I speak passionately about things that I'm passionate about, and I'm not going to be shamed for it, Jason.
You're passionate about indoor activities that cost $40 an hour.
Yeah, that honestly sounds like doing coke. Anyway, so Mission Chinese is a casualty. Servos is open.
Servos is lit. It's so good. It's lit. It's lit. They blocked off Canal Street so no cars can come by. So Dime Square is literally a square now. Like it is a public gathering place, which is amazing.
Okay.
And so
did Metrograph close? Did Metrograph close?
It's I don't know if it closed permanently, but it's certainly not open at the moment.
Wow. Yeah. So, and I think friend of the show, Flynn McGarry, the young chef, opened his bakery.
So actually, I ran into Flynn at guess where?
At
Lucy.
Oh wow! You didn't give me enough time. Wow, I had no idea.
And I told him congrats on the bakery. He's not actually involved anymore. He passed it on to the partners he was working with.
Well,
But
we'll
he
get to
said
the bottom
that
of that. I hope Big Daddy Flynn got a little payout.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think he's balling out in Copenhagen right now, according to the
He
Gram.
is. He's back in Europe. I need to bang his line and see what the fuck he's doing, because I know that motherfucker's got an American passport, and I see him gallivanting all over Europe, and I want fucking answers.
Chris, you need to start pickling some elderflower, and then maybe you'll get the fucking
sorry,
invite.
I didn't.
Don't be a
fuck the
fucking
guy from
nomonarch,
Noma.
dude. Don't be a nomonarch.
I don't
Nomonarch.
look. I don't really like pickled stuff that much, so maybe I'm just going to be stuck in America for the rest of my life.
We get it. You're white.
we get it. So when is the artnet.com office going to reopen, or is there no date?
I mean, there's no, hard and fast date. Technically, I can go into the office, but like, it's on the 24th floor of the Woolworth building. To get in the fucking elevator, you have like a wait because it's one person at a time. Those elevators are mad old.
It's all thing. So you haven't been back in a long time.
I have not been back since early March.
It's just you, Carrie Bradshaw style, pecking away at the MacBook Pro in the window, looking over Dime Square.
Absolutely, that's literally what I do all day long. It's like very Carrie Bradshaw, but in Dime Square.
What are you doing for physical fitness? How are you keeping the bod tight and right?
You know what? I've been doing that city bike thing. A lot of city bike. Big fan.
City bike, Chris.
City
what are your
bike.
thoughts on that?
I mean, look, man. I guess I think of that as transportation, but some people think of it as exercise.
That's about all the exercise I get, though.
Are you riding it to Jersey? How many miles are we logging on the city bike?
I take it to Brooklyn occasionally when I have to go to Brooklyn. Thankfully, I've not been in New Jersey for quite some time.
Yeah. When you get to go to Brooklyn, not have to.
This podcast is anti-Brooklyn, and don't forget it. That's a benchmark of this. Even though Jason, I feel like Jason, if he lived in New York, he might live in Brooklyn. Would you agree with that, Jason?
I would probably live there. Yeah, even though I don't like going to Brooklyn, and when I'm in New York, I try to stay in Manhattan the whole time, just because I can just walk everywhere.
Yeah,
put those New Balances to work.
I love walking, and that's the biggest thing I miss about being trapped in LA.
Are you still in that hotel thing, Chris?
I'm looking at the pool right now, sweetie, and it's shining.
Oh, damn.
Well, hey, look, Nate, come on out anytime, bro. I would love to host you at my pool.
Well, that sounds great, Chris. I think that I will eventually have to flee this place when it gets cold, because it gets cold.
Have you been there the entire time?
I was in the Catskills for the first 3 months.
Damn. Okay. That sounds. Was it good or was it boring?
It was good and boring. I mean, like, farming is not that much fun. Building the farm, building the garden. It's like,
So, Nate, thank you for joining us.
Of course, Chris. Jason, this was a blast.
And we're going to need you to tell people where they can find you on the World Wide Web.
You can find me. I got a Twitter. It is nfreeman1234. The Instagram is the same. Hit me there.
And wet paint. Your
wet paint drops every Friday morning. Artnet.com. Check it.
Every Friday morning. We'll make sure to get you this link so you can include it in tomorrow's dispatch.
I absolutely will.
It'll be up. This will be up tonight. I'll send it over to you. But honestly, I love reading the column.
But Nate, that's not the only reason why we had you on the show, though.
That's true. We had you on because we like you.
Well, I like you guys. You guys are the best. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Hey, man.
I think it was great.
It was our pleasure, and honestly, keep doing what you're doing, and you made New York, my beautiful home, sound even better than I can imagine. So I will, one day I'll return, and I will have a sparkling water with you while you go to the bathroom at Lucien.
That sounds perfect. I can't wait.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon, bro. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Bye.